Hi, we're at Heathrow Airport right now, and we're doing the final video for the VZBot build. Today, we're gonna do the final installation of the motors of the VZBot, and a couple of tips and tricks with screws and things like that. The reason why it's the final part, the next part after this is basically electronic wiring, which is gonna be up to you because I didn't want to show you something and you fry your house, so read and understand what you're doing. Learn about 24 volts, learn about 12 volts, learn how to wire and how to do it safely. Plenty of instructions out there. This is the most important part for safety concerns. My original cost all in was $650, and that would have had my VZBot going completely, but I decided to splurge a little bit, so I had to get myself a extruder because it looks so sweet, so I got that. So everything from now on is gonna be hopefully one part videos, just one part, that's it, we're done. And from England, thank you very much for watching these videos, and let's continue on to our video now. All right, we're gonna build the rear right motor mount. We need a couple of parts over here that are essential. We need the parts to hold the motor onto the frame, which are these two parts over here, and this has to mount on the motor itself. This is the screw we just made, the bolt for tensioning. And we have some spare nuts over here. I've already gone ahead and put some screws over here. I also had to make some other screws flat, as you can see over here, and I'll show you how I did that in a minute, because it has to slide on the plates like so. If it was sticking up, it would not work, but we'll go over that in a minute. We also need a bolt holder, a knob to turn it. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna mount this onto here. All right, before you do so, you need to pull that bolt that either you made or you have already. So you can see I've glued this, well, not really glued it down, but it's tight enough. I can put some Loctite, I can put some nail polish. It's fine, it's gonna pull anyway, so it's gonna be good. So I'm gonna put that in here. That fits perfectly. And this is gonna go where the motor wire comes out, and this is gonna face the back. I'm gonna put two screws in here, and the two screws are gonna go in the back of the motor. All the screws in this plate, both these screws have to be flushed. I just happen to have some spare flush ones that I can use. All right, so that's done. What's going to happen is this is going to mount over here. There's going to be another screw that comes through here that will tighten this once you get it the correct tension. There's also going to be two more over here for the correct tension that goes directly through here into the motor. So it will go like that. The motor's tension will slide back and forth. Pull it back, it'll be tighter. Then you lock down the two screws here and the one screw over here, and you're good to go. All right, let's put this on the printer. All right, so I'm gonna take these screws and T-nuts, we're gonna line them up flat and straight like this, and this for the angle. So we can try to slip that in here, like so. Get a screwdriver. Sometimes you have to like back it out a little bit and then retighten it so it catches on good. And you can kind of check that. Yeah, that's on good. That's not going anywhere. Now I'm going to do the last screw over here. Make sure it's locked in. Back it out and then turn it until I feel it catches. And I'm going to check that. Yeah, that's good right there. This one here, you do not tighten until you have the motor inserted. Yeah, so that would go in like, slide like that. But I'm gonna put the top part on first. Okay, so the top part's the same thing. We're gonna line these nuts up. Make sure that goes tight. Oh, not good enough. So you always double check everything. Make sure, because what happens is if you don't get the right bite on it, it's not going to. So you kind of push it down and then turn. Okay, I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna back it out, push it down, and then turn. I'm gonna feel that. The same over here. I can feel that biting down. I can feel the plastic going down, so that's good. All right, so that's pretty solid. You have a part for a hex nut. If you look at the manual, it looks like this. It's already screwed on. You're supposed to put a screw through the cap, like so, and the end product looks like this. The problem with that, if you do that, it's not gonna go anywhere except dig into the stepper motor, and this is gonna break. So what you have to look at, there's a thing in the manual, if you look at the very last line or two, where either it connects to the plexiglass plate, or there's a mount where this will go to pull it. So the problem I'm having right now is I have a bunch of, I have about 4,000 screws, like all these sets of screws, all over the place. I've got, another drawer full of 6 boxes. But the screws I need is one is a set screw that's 4 millimeters by 30 millimeters. I don't have that. It says if you don't have that, you can use a hex bolt. Put it in here and it'll go into the little nut part here, and that should work also. And I mean, the nut part would go over here, but you don't see a picture of that. So you would put a hex bolt through here, and you would have this coming through here, so when you turn the knob, it'll pull this tight. The way it looks right now, if you turn it, nothing's gonna happen. I've been looking for these set screws or hex bolts in my local hardware stores. They don't have them in the size I need, not the M4 30 millimeters. No set screws, no hex bolts. I can order them. All I need is really 2 screws. It's gonna wind up costing me 12 bucks or so. I could go to order from McCann's or some sort of nuts and bolts place or Amazon and get a whole bunch of them, but I rarely ever use. And if you're in another country, as I said before, it's hard to come by these things, and you have to make do what you got. This is what I came up with. If I take this and tighten it up, and I was trying to do this with a little saw before, and that wasn't working out too well. Sawing through this piece of anodized metal that's really super hard, using this little handsaw, going back and forth, I would be there pretty much for at least half an hour doing that. But I actually found something in my magic box. It was called, and I get a little Dremel saw over here. My Dremel broke, or else I'll be using that. I realized I can actually jimmy rig this here to fit on my drill. So I'm gonna attempt to cut through here and see if that will work. Let me get my safety glasses on, and make sure the screw is tight. Make sure this seat is tight here. And I'm gonna go to angle over here. And I'm gonna start off slow. And I'm gonna stick my face, I don't want my face directly over it. So I'm gonna stick to the side in case something shoots out. A piece of the blade can fly out and you get injured, stuff like this I get really leery about. I just wanna make sure it's straight. That is wiggling a little bit. Where's that wiggling? Let me try it now. That's great. That's hot. Be careful with that. Do not touch that. Let it cool off for a second. I'm gonna look for a nut. And I'm gonna let this drop. Let me get my pliers over here. And so now I have a little bolt, and I'm gonna stick this over here. Let's see if this actually will screw in. Guess what? It does screw in. All right, what I can do is actually, I can set that with a little bit of glue, so it could be like the bolt, and this will go in here like that, and yeah, that's gonna work. I gotta make sure the distance is correct, but yeah, we're done, we're good. So that's how you save, time waiting for things to be shipped to you. If you don't have the money, if you're running out of time and you wanna get this done quickly. If you think about things, there's ways of doing things without having to buy things. It's just called jimmy rigging, you know. Learn to use what you got and make it work. No. All right, so we've come to an impasse over here. I had bought a box of flatheads, M3s, to save me the trouble of filing these things down and paying, you know, money for these screws are very expensive at the hardware store. And they work perfectly, as you can see, yeah? So I was gonna file these down and it would have worked. And I said, you know what, let me just buy a box and be done with it. So I did. Next thing you know, I realized that the part that goes in extrusion with the T-nuts needs a different size flathead because these do not fit. These are M4s, T-nuts, and these are M3s. So the only M3 that I have are these over here. And the problem with that is that when you put it into this conical kind of sunk hole over here, it doesn't sink all the way through. It's raised up and it's way too high. Even if I file it down, it's not gonna work, okay? So what I did was I came up with the idea, hold on, my cat's going. Came up with the idea of printing another bottom part of the motor mounts, except I printed it a little bit thicker. And how did I do that? I didn't go into Fusion 360, I went into the slicer. I upped the Z height by 3 millimeters. I think it was 113, I made it 116, just 3 millimeters high. And then I had the idea of filing it down because then that part would actually be better because I have more thickness to hide it and I don't have to file it down so much. And you know what? Look at that. That looks good. I suppose if I would have put this over here, I would have had, you can't see all that height. And that wouldn't have been very good at all. So I did not want to do that. So as you can see, it's been filed down. And why am I spending so much trouble when I could have bought a whole box of assorted kind of screws? Well, I could have, you know, but I don't use these that often. I just wanted a few, and when I go to the hardware store, it's kind of like when you buy a hot dog for $5, and you know you could buy the whole pack of 8 for like $5. These things can be like up to like 40 cents for each screw. I mean, it's not a lot, but still. And also, imagine if you're in a country that does not have these screws at the local hardware store, or you need to order from Amazon, but Amazon takes about a week, or you have to order from AliExpress. That may take up to 2 weeks, and it's going to suspend your project. And you want to do this today. And let's say you need to get this done today because you don't want to wait 2 weeks for 4 screws. Okay, it's not getting dark, it's my cat. Okay, so let me get my cat out of the way. So how did I do this? So yeah, first I made this a little thicker. Just a little flathead, you know, flat file. And you can put it into place like that. And I'll put a nut behind it and just sand it down, file it down like that. Or I found the best way to do this is I had this little vise for a while and it just clamps on. Let me just lock it into place. Nice and tight. Okay. And then I just drop it in like that. And I don't even tighten it, all right? I just tighten this part over here in the bottom. So it doesn't move, okay? And then I get my file. And I just start filing away. Putting pressure on it. All right, so now I got a flat screw over here. Okay, so the next issue that you're gonna have, and I'm gonna put it over here. And as you can see, it's flat, but not too flat. All right, so I could sand down a little bit more if I wanted to, and I probably would. But the next thing you would do is I would get something. Let me see if I can demonstrate for you guys real quick over here. I would grab this screw, and as you can see, over here, how much I fall down, and I want to put this the other side so you can see how much more it has to go. Not too much more. I would say about maybe another more minute of filing, and you can see that it's still kind of raised. Well, the reason I made it thicker is so I can sink this down. And how would I sink this down is I would get a tool, something like this. Yeah, there's a little clamp. Or if I don't have that, I would use a pair of pliers. And what do I do with that? I would put this on a heater with a lighter or on the stove for about maybe 15 seconds. I don't want to get this thing red hot. I don't want it to turn black. I just want to get it warmed up to a temperature that once I put it in here, like so, right? All I do is put it in a flat surface and push down, and it will flush itself completely flat. It goes from like this conical shape, like a little cone shape, right? And once you melt it a little bit with the method I showed you, by getting the nut a little hot, but not high enough to make lava and melt the thing immediately, it reforms it into this shape over here, like a straight square or straight down and flat. Okay, so you have plenty of support there. At that point, it will be able to slide back and forth on the motor mount, just like as flush as this. Okay, without any gaps. And that's how I make those screws. So yeah, if you don't want to buy the screws, pay another 12 bucks. Motor has that little hook over here that slides onto that screw, and then we get this screw over here, which is a little longer than what you need. But what I did was I'm waiting for some screws to come in. I put a couple of washers, so that should be okay. So now I'm going to line it up with this. Get my screwdriver, move it up to the front, see if I can feel for a hole. I think I got it. But I can see better on this side over here, so I'm going to do it from this side because I can line it better. There, I can feel that there. So the screw should go in a lot easier. It's not going down. All right, so there you go. So the last thing we do over here is we're going to put a nut, but depending on what you have, if you've got a panel, the panel will have a slot to hold this. Since I'm not using panels, I'm going to use this plate over here, and there's a hole that I go through. Align my screws. Then we put the knob on this. Nice and easy. Easy. A little bit of a grip on the nut. So there's pressure on the nut. and then you can feel it when it feels tight, let it go. We'll fix that up later on, and that's how you mount that motor mount on the right side. We're at this point right now where I've got these two belts binded. I'm using the white one only so you can see better, because you can see the real Gates belt is hard to see against these things over here. So I'm just going to show you the white one on one side. You always want to have these ridges facing you. Now, if these high mounts don't work, I'm going to have to remove this whole part here and tie the belts directly through these little slots over here. But let's see what happens. The slots I'm talking about are right in here. There's a high one and a low one. So the next thing you also want to check too is to make sure that your belts are lined up properly, because you have a lot of wiggle room, and you want your belts to kind of line up with the pulleys over here. Now remember the mistake I made earlier on. I didn't have these tooth pulleys right in the front. I had them reversed. So you always want to have your teeth in the front, teeth in the front. So we're going to start stringing this up. Now you want to have a lot of extra room over here, because you don't want to be caught short with the belt. This is pretty easy. Right now I don't really care. I'm just going to string it through. And right now I'm doing the high side. So it's kind of hard. So you want to do is you kind of want to just give it a little starter. So it goes around that little corner. And try and push this through, because if you have a little something here, maybe you can pull it through, like some tweezers, some needle nose pliers, or one of these things here like that. Haha. Okay. So I want to make sure that is on a pulley over here. Okay, that's on the pulley. The next hard part is to get it through this one now. I'm going to move around. And I'm not sure if you can see over here, but you'll see the smooth one. And actually there's two tooth ones. So we want to go on the upper one. So let's see if we can get this through. Nope. This is going to be a little bit more difficult. But there's no easy way of doing this. You just have to keep pushing it and pushing it. There you go. Actually, it wasn't too bad, was it? All right, so that's strung through. Now, where is this going to go now? It's going to go behind the aluminum plate over here. There's a little slot from the risers right over here. You see that red thing there? Okay. I'm going to stick that cable through it on the back. And you think it'll be too tight, but it's not. It should fit. But make sure you make it go all the way through straight, so it doesn't make any curves or turns. Now this time I'm doing the opposite. I want it to go straight. So I'm going to reverse bend that. And there we go. And now the most important part. It has to go around. I'm going to make sure all the belts are straight. Now twist it. It has to go around the motor. Okay. So I'm going to push this again. We're going to make a little loopy thing here. Okay, and then it goes on a smooth pulley from behind. Actually, you know what? It has to go through here one more time. I'm sorry. I'm going to do a reverse bend on that. why am I holding the brown Gates belt instead of the white belt that I had before? Well, during the filming, I didn't notice because I was on this side and I didn't see what was going on over here, and I did not belt it correctly. So I'm going to redo that and show you the correct way to do it, and let's just go ahead and just do it here. All right, so we're going to pass this through, and again, make that little kind of like little loopy thing over here, and see if we can loop it around. This gets a little tricky there. Okay. Okay, so now once you get it through this side over here, you want to pass it back through on the inside part. So you kind of want to do a reverse loop. And then grab that through. And you really want to make sure that you're grabbing onto the teeth over here. Okay, so we've got that through there, yeah? So then now I pass this through the smooth bearing, or smooth pulley. I'm going to bring it up to here. All right, so we have it going around the smooth pulley over here, and we need to attach it over here. We're going to be using these printable belt holders. Now, these things are very tight, so it's kind of hard to fit in. So what I do is I take the file and I sand the edges so it gives a little bit more breathing room, or else it's like super, super tight. I do it on both sides, and I kind of make one side a little bit more like a little a funnel, so I have room to push it through. And on top of that, I'm going to try and lubricate this a little bit and make sure the belts are on both sides, because once you get it on, it's a little harder. Okay, so I'm going to get my belt and stick one in through, like so, and just leave it go any way you want. Again, I'm going to do that little question mark thing over here, and I have to put it on this thing here, and this belt's a little short because I had already fitted it in and trimmed it, but I'm not too worried about that too much. So what I normally do is I kind of like start from here and then give it a slight little pinch, but 5 seconds has a little bit of a curve, and then I start moving it. So what I did there was, by moving it across, it's going to pull that little tab to go in the correct direction, and there it is. See? So now I'm going to try and pull it tighter. Okay, so now I have this pinched down like this. Okay, I'm pinching it down. I'm going to put a little spittle, saliva, so you can see it's a little wet. And then pinch the edges down. Oh, I cannot see from this angle. All right, I'm gonna grab the tag of the belt, pull it up, and pinch down on itself so that it's now in the grooves. And see, the trouble is I'm trying not to get in the way of the camera. So let me try to do this here first. Let me see. All right, so now I'm putting tension on the belt. I'm gonna try and pinch it and then pinch pinch it with the pliers. Okay, and I'm going to pinch it as close as to the end as possible. And get a little bit of wetness there. And then I'm going to try and slide this in and push it in. Boom, done. Okay, that's good. I even have a little bit of tension there. I can tension it more later on with the knobs, but that is in and it's good. And it's short enough that it's not going to interfere or block anything. Because if it's too long, it'll bang over here. You don't want that. If your belt happens to slip off like this, that's a pretty easy fix as long as everything is still kind of loose, is not tensioned. So the belt is still kind of slack. What you do is you kind of get like a screwdriver or something, and you can kind of lift it up into place.
Tonight, I'm gonna have myself a real good time. I feel alive, and the world turning inside out. Yeah. I'm floating around in ecstasy, so don't stop me now. Don't stop me, 'cause I'm having a good time, having a good time. A shooting star leaping through the sky like a tiger, defying the laws of gravity. I'm a racing car passing by like Lady Godiva. I'm gonna go, go, go. There's no stopping me. I'm burning through the sky, yeah. 200 degrees, that's why they call me Mr. Fahrenheit. I'm traveling at the speed of light. I wanna make a supersonic man.